Tonight, we are joined by Dr. Richard Myers, the President and Science Director for HudsonAlpha Institute for Biotechnology. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Naja.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the latest trends in North Alabama. We have seen the number of new cases in Madison County seem to plateau. Is there any explanation that you can give as to why our most populated county seems to be flattening while cases in other areas are growing rapidly?
We really don't understand why you get some pockets where it's really bad, even in some small rural areas, and then other pockets where it's not so bad. I mean, still bad, of course. We have lots of cases. It's just lower on a per capita basis. And we've not overwhelmed our hospitals or our doctor's offices, thank goodness. I think we shouldn't get too comfortable with that because it could change overnight if there's an event that leads to, and people are not being careful about social distancing and wearing masks and washing hands and things like that. It could spike again any place, and so I don't think there's anything special about Madison County other than it's a wonderful place to live, but I don't think North Alabama has been lucky so far. Some of that probably has been because we started really paying attention to this early enough that it had not completely spiked everywhere. Nevertheless, we still need to be as cautious as we can to avoid seeing a secondary wave or even a really big spike here or other parts of the state.
What are some of the challenges that could impact finding a vaccine for COVID-19?
So vaccine development is a hard problem because what you're doing is you're taking people who are not infected, who do not have the disease, and you're doing a clinical trial first, but then to try to figure out whether it works or not. So I think the science behind developing different approaches to make a vaccine is really good, but you then have to test them for safety first, and that's usually on a couple hundred or a few hundred people per vaccine, and then you have to test them for efficacy. Does it work or not? Not only is it safe, but does it make a difference? When you think about it, if you're going to test that on people who are not infected, it's got to be tested on a lot of people, and then you follow in time where you would have expected more people being exposed and catching the virus to see if you have a decrease in the symptoms or severity of them. And so that's what makes it so hard, and that's the biggest challenge.
Earlier this week, President Trump said that he believes we could have a vaccine by the end of the year. He's since softened that stance. Is that a realistic goal, the end of this year, or what would you consider a more pragmatic timeline from now?
I think people are working so fast, and so many people are working, and they're sharing data and interacting with each other that it will be faster than it would be otherwise. It's really hard to know. I think we're basing the guesses. Dr. Anthony Fauci was basing the guesses about a year and a half on the experiences that we've had in developing vaccines for other things. So it seems unlikely that it'll be done by the end of this calendar year, although I think we'll know a lot more by the end of this calendar year, and there may be a real cause for optimism and maybe even being able to predict when it will be coming out.
The CEO of Huntsville Hospital said he thinks antibody testing is one of the keys to fully reopening the state. Can you explain the issues that companies have been running into with developing an antibody test?
So we are actually working on developing an antibody test at HudsonAlpha outside of the company with collaborators in New York City, actually. But so are many, many other people. The problem, there have been two problems. One of them is a technical one. There have been so many people come up with sort of fly-by-night tests sometimes, but even from respectable companies, where we know that the false positive and the false negative rate, meaning the inaccuracy, is really high. We just can't use, we should never even attempt to use that kind of test. So we need to make sure we have accurate ones. I think that's starting to happen, but we need to vet them and be really careful about knowing that they're accurate. Even if we have an accurate test, and let's say it's not even expensive and it can be done on millions of people, even if we have that, we don't know for sure that that makes you immune or not. Or if it does give you immunity, we don't know how long the immunity will last and how much immunity. However, There are some promising results starting to come out just very recently, not from our group, but from around the world, where it looks like people who are infected are making antibodies, and so we need to learn whether it's making them immune or not. I'll bet you it will. I bet you we will have immunity. And then using that as an adjunct at the same time you're testing for whether someone has virus could be a really positive way for getting back to work even before vaccine.
Doctor, thank you so much for your time and your expertise tonight.
Thank you so much.